What's going on, everyone? Farzin Masugian here with you. Good morning, good afternoon for those on the East Coast. It is game day. Hell yeah. We're feeling good, right? We're feeling pretty damn good. Why wouldn't we? It's the Giants. What's the worst that could happen? It's not like the Chiefs would ever make things stressful or interesting, ever, right? We're feeling pretty good about ourselves, right? That's what I like to hear. Okay, let's chat about this game, shall we? 2-0-2 teams. Someone's O has got to go tonight. Here's the thing for Kansas City, because they're the solid favorites. I don't want to say heavy favorites, but people are expecting them to win. I've yet to see a prediction from anyone that's willing to bet that the Giants are going to win this game. Maybe people will pick the Giants to cover the spread. I would be willing to make that bet. But a lot of people aren't predicting like a blow. Well, a few people are predicting a blowout, but in general, people think the Chiefs are going to win. Here's my thing. I think Kansas City, these two games, and I don't care if Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice have been unavailable for you, they've been in position to win these games. But they're making mental, costly errors that are putting them in this position here. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles did not play the greatest game last week against the Chiefs. But what did the Eagles not do? They avoided making really stupid mental errors. That's what Kansas City's done these two games that have prevented them from being able to win at least one game this year. And listen, here's the thing. Look at last year when everyone was making a big deal about Kansas City going undefeated in one-score games. Why were they undefeated in one-score games? Now, were they playing their best football? No. And I heard Kevin Wildes, not Nick Wright, oddly enough, to some of you who may be surprised by that. It was Kevin Wildes who said the Eagles in these two games so far, they're kind of looking like the Chiefs last year where they're squeezing by these games. Now it's only 2 weeks, so you can't really make that judgment, but he has a valid point. You look at the Eagles, these two games, they have gotten away with opposing teams making mental errors. CeeDee Lamb dropping those passes against the Eagles for the Cowboys, and then this past week the pass to Kelsey where it was right in his hands at the 1 yard line, and 2 weeks in a row he's had a similar mistake in the same area, the same spot almost. So the Chiefs last year won all of their one-score games because they weren't making mental errors. Their opponents were. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to capitalize on that. I know a lot of people view it as, oh, well, if they didn't drop this pass, the Chiefs would have lost. Well, the way I see it is the Chiefs did not make those kinds of errors, and that's why they won. The Chiefs have to play smarter football. They've got to look more mature than how they've looked these last couple of games, because those simple mistakes, those fundamentals that drive coaches crazy, that's hurt them in these two games here. Here's another really important thing, and you guys want to know something? I'm going to give you an ugly stat warning. This is not good. In fact, let me pull up the numbers here because I want to be specific and exact here. So Kansas City's last 3 games, the Super Bowl, week 1 and week 2. How many points have the Chiefs scored in the first quarter of those 3 games? Does anyone know the answer? If you know the answer, shout out in the comments, because I kind of realized this after last week's game. I thought, wait a minute, the Chiefs have gotten off to sloppy starts quite a lot recently. The Chiefs have scored 0 points in the first quarter of their last 3 games, going back to the Super Bowl, week 1 in Brazil against the Chargers, and week 2 at home against the Eagles. Yeah, a couple of you guys throwing out some numbers there. No, the answer is 0. The Chiefs have scored nothing in the first quarter of their last 3 games. I want to know how the Chiefs are going to look in the first quarter of this game against the Giants. Because this is a Giants team that just gave up 40 to the Cowboys. Yeah, it took overtime, but essentially, I think every single second of overtime. So I want to see the Chiefs get off to a much better start. And by the way, it's not just the fact that they're scoring 0 points, they're not getting any kind of movement in the Super Bowl. 7 plays for 19 yards. This is just the first quarter here, just the first quarter of these games. The Super Bowl, 7 plays, 19 yards. Week 1 against the Chargers, 12 plays, 28 yards. Week 2 against the Eagles, 12 plays, 34 yards. Okay, they're gradually getting better, but they're still ridiculously low. Kansas City's got to, I mean, if Kansas City can put together a good methodical drive, like let's say they get the opening kickoff and they start at the 25 or the 30-yard line, wherever they, if it's a fair catch or a touchback, wherever they spot the ball. If they go down the field for a touchdown, that'll be more in the first quarter of their last 3 games. If they go 70, 75 yards, that's how bad Kansas City's been in the first quarter of these last 3 games. So getting off to a really good start is monumental for the Chiefs. That needs to happen. Kansas City's got to get off to a better start. I know Andy Reid will always defer to start off games, and I understand that, but whenever the Chiefs get their first possession of the game, dude, get off to a fast start. And how do you get off to a fast start? Well, if you're Kansas City, and I know this is against Andy Reid's MO, but you have to utilize the running backs in this game. Kansas City hasn't really done much of that these first 2 games. Kareem Hunt has 13 runs. Pacheco has 15 runs. I'd like to think they can give those guys a little bit more carries, because this is a Giants team that is dead last in stopping the run. Again, I know it's 2 weeks and you can't really do league rankings like who's the best offense and who's the worst defense, that kind of thing. But with the information we have right now in the early stages of the 2025 season, the Giants are the worst run-stopping defense in the NFL. And if you're Kansas City, you've got to get the running backs going. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco each have 47 yards. They're each averaging less than 4 yards a carry. They have not been good this season. Listen, I don't think the run blocking has been terrible. The vision has been bad. I think Isaiah Pacheco, if you go back and rewatch that Chargers game in Brazil, Josh Simmons was, paving the way, going out there, throwing a block down the field. Pacheco just has to attack the outside, and he probably scores a touchdown on that play. So to me, I just think the running backs maybe need a little bit of patience, letting run blockers down the field go out there and throw a block and open a lane for them. Because Pacheco is usually better than that. And we haven't been able to see that, especially with the speed Pacheco has. Kareem Hunt known more of a power back. So I'd like to see Hunt and Pacheco get involved more in this game, contribute more. One player that I think will get involved more will be Brashard Smith, the rookie running back out of the 7th round I believe he was from UCF. Let me just double check and make sure. SMU, I'm sorry. No, I'm thinking of a different running back. No, I think the running back that ended up going to Denver. That's what I'm thinking of. That went to UCF. But Brashard Smith went to SMU, so apologies there. But for Smith, he was drafted in the 7th round, so almost went undrafted. But listen, Pacheco almost went undrafted too, and he ended up having 2 really good seasons for Kansas City. So who's to say Brashard Smith can't either? Because when you look at Smith, he had the 3rd fastest scout 40 time at the scouting combine this year. That bodes well for an Andy Reid offense. So I'd like to see Brashard Smith. He has 13 offensive snaps these first 2 games. He has just 1 carry, and he was also targeted once through the air. I think Brashard Smith is someone who can get a little bit more involved in today's game. What a better way to get your 7th round rookie involved against the worst run-stopping defense in the league. And listen, let me just say this. If Pacheco, Hunt, and Brashard Smith, if all 3 of them combined go for 150, 175 yards, maybe even more than that, I'm not going to sit here and say the running back issues are solved, because you don't solve anything by dominating against the worst run-stopping defense in the league. Not at all. So I'm not going to have some sort of parade for this and say, okay, the running backs are fixed. Let's move on. Season saved. No, this is just a get in the win column game. That's it. I don't care if you win this game by 100. This is not anything to write home about. You got to go out there and win. You cannot afford an 0-3 start. The Chargers, we're just 2 games into the season, with the exception of the Dolphins and the Bills who played Thursday night. We're 2 games into the season, and the Chargers, already have a 3-game lead on the Chiefs. Let me repeat that. We're 2 games into the season, and the Chargers already have a 3-game lead on the Chiefs because of the tiebreaker for right now. Obviously, they'll play again later in the season, but boy, you are already way behind the 8 ball in the AFC West. And I'm not saying it's over with. Kansas City was behind in 2021 when they were 3-4. They lost 24-3 to Ryan freaking Tannehill of all QBs. Remember, the Titans put that whiplash on the Chiefs? And then what happened? The Chiefs win 8 straight games. They win the AFC West. They lose in overtime in the AFC Championship to the Bengals. And I know that's not the ideal ending, especially with what happened in that game, but they still won the AFC West when nobody expected it that year. So Kansas City just needs to relax. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's a long season, because it's really not. Football's not really that long of a season. It goes by faster than any other sport. You play this game here, you're essentially, 1/8 into the season? Are we not? I know it's not exactly the same now that we have an odd number of games, 17 games played, but that's how fast the football season goes by. By the time the Chiefs and Ravens play next week, you'll be almost a quarter into the season. So Kansas City needs to just come out and win this football game. Then you have a chance to make it 500 the following week against a really good team in the Baltimore Ravens, who, I know they had that collapse in week 1 Sunday Night Football, but that offense has looked really, really, really good through 2 weeks. Justin says, need Herbert to start slinging some interceptions. You know what the crazy part is? The Chiefs have yet to get a takeaway this season. Let me quickly see if I can pull up how many teams don't have a turnover yet. Because Kansas City, they had I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the interception from Kelsey, off Kelsey's hands, I should say. That's 1. So they should be -1 in the turnover differential. Yeah, that is correct. They are -1. So they've yet to get a takeaway this season. To give you an idea, the Jaguars, who've only played 2 games, Bills and Dolphins have each played 3. The Jaguars still have more than anyone with 6. Tennessee has 5. Tennessee's defense has been really good so far. Kansas City has 0. Miami has played 3 games. They have 0. Washington, Tampa, the Jets, Miami, the Chiefs, and the Browns. 6 teams do not have a takeaway this season. And if you're wondering, because the Bills have already played a 3rd game, they have 3 takeaways on the season. So, and they've yet to commit a turnover this year. How many teams have yet to commit a turnover? It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the Bills, Packers, Colts, Eagles, Bucks, Commanders. Now, the Chiefs did force a fumble this year against the Chargers. I think it was Shamari Connor who popped that football out, and I think one of their tight ends swatted it out of bounds because the Chiefs player was about to come get it, which is a penalty, but a smart one. Yeah, Kansas City's got to get involved in the turnover battle. That's another big thing here. Defensively, I thought defensively the Chiefs played way better last week compared to the week before. And I think the Eagles are overall a better offensive team than the Chargers. I know Chris Jones talking some trash when he should have, but he was right in that Hurts barely threw for 100 yards. And I think the part of the frustration is the defense stepped up and played way better after being essentially the scapegoat for what happened last week's game, or the week before, I should say, and how Chris Jones decided to attack the inside and rather say outside to contain Herbert. Because everyone was talking about that for 9 days, from Friday to last Sunday's game. And the defense turned it up, and they played much better. I think Noel Williams, the rookie who the Chiefs drafted from Cal, who led all college football defenders in interceptions last year. Dude, he played really well. It didn't get a lot of snaps either. And the snaps that he played, he looked really good. Pro Football Focus even gave him a really high cornerback coverage grade from last week's game. I'd like to see Noel Williams play more, considering Christian Fulton right now is unavailable for the Chiefs. I think that's someone who's going to get more playing time. Somebody was asking, why is Xavier Worthy not on injured reserve? That's from Marcel. That's actually a really good question. I'm concerned about Xavier Worthy. I think the more information we get about Xavier Worthy, some reports out there are that he has a torn labrum. I know George Kittle has played through a torn labrum before, but I think in terms of size and stature, Kittle is far bigger than Worthy. Man, I don't know realistically if Worthy will play again this year. I know the thought is he was close to playing tonight. That report came out last week, and he was questionable for this game. He's been limited in practice all week. Here's my thing. If Worthy does play next Sunday against the Ravens, and I know that's not what we're concerned about right this moment, but man, I don't know what he's going to look like. I'm really concerned. I mean, in addition to the physicality of the sport, as a wide receiver, you got to make plays with your hands. Requires moving with the arms and shoulder areas. Not trying to be a physicist here, but come on, like, I'm a little concerned as to how Worthy will even look when he comes back, if he comes back. Because the thought is, the Chiefs will look better once they get Worthy back and once they'll get Rice back. Fortunately, Rice is not coming back from an injury. It's a suspension, so he'll be fresh and ready to go and give the offense a much-needed boost in Week 7. But that's still several games away. That's at least 4 games away. I just don't know with Worthy. I don't know how he's going to look. The good news is you're going to get Jalen Royals back. This is someone who got involved a lot in training camp, a lot more than I anticipated he would look. I think it was Jordan Schultz of Bleacher Report, or now with Fox Sports, I should say. He put out a tweet when the Rice suspension was announced that Jalen Royals is someone that could fill in for Rashee Rice and do a lot of things that was expected of Rice. Well, Royals is expected to play his first game tonight. So we'll see how that goes, because Kansas City needs some help at the wide receiver room. That'll give Hollywood Brown a little less breathing room, some weight off of his shoulders. Juju Smith-Schuster still part of your depth. Tyquan Thornton, who the Chiefs have been trying to get involved more in this game, in these 2 games. That's someone that can maybe get more separation. Because I think with the lack of availability at the wide receiver position right now, that's put some pressure on guys like Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton. Having Royals back, I think, will certainly help. Let me see. How many times have they targeted Tyquan Thornton this season? 9 times. That's the second most among wide receivers on the team. Hollywood Brown has the most targets with 21. Travis Kelce, not a wide receiver, but has 10 targets. That's the second most on the team. Tyquan Thornton has 9. Juju has 8. Noah Gray has 6. A lot of people have been asking, why isn't Noah Gray getting more involved? Well, he's been targeted the 5th most times this season for the Chiefs. And again, I get it's early, but he's your 5th most targeted pass catcher so far. So we'll see if Noah Gray can get a little bit more involved. Maybe with the return of Jalen Royals, that'll help open up the offense a little more. That would certainly be the hope, I would imagine. But I think in this game specifically, Kansas City has to utilize the running game, because the running game has not been good. Kansas City's leading receiver is Hollywood Brown. He's got 129 yards. Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher with 123 yards. That's 5 yards less. 6 yards less than Hollywood Brown. That's not good. Damien's asking, will Royals play today? Yeah, possibly. You're from Brazil and you get Chiefs news from me. Great work. Appreciate you. Thank you. Got us to Brazil. Wish the Chiefs could have given you guys a victory there. Front line needs to help the running game, Patrick says. Yeah, and I think they've been good, but the vision's got to be better from the running backs. What's up, Noah? Noah says, I heard on Fox Joe Burrow might not return in the regular season. Yeah. I've said this earlier in the week. You know what Joe Burrow reminds me of? A lot of people have been saying Andrew Luck. I'd say Joe Burrow is more of like an Andrew Bynum from the NBA. Remember Andrew Bynum for the Lakers? Had all this talent, all this hype. Got off to a slow start, but eventually got going. And once he did, dude, the guy just started suffering injuries that nobody has ever heard of. And with Joe Burrow, like he had that wrist injury that was so rare and uncommon. Now he has this toe injury, this turf toe that's an uncommon type of turf toe. I think it depends on where the Bengals are in mid-December, which is Joe Burrow's expected return date. Dude, I kind of just worry, like, is that guy going to be contemplating retirement? Because he is dealing with a lot of injuries up to, if you are arguing that he's not injury prone, we're not looking at the same data. We're not seeing the same things here. He is injury prone. For the sake of your health, your body, your physical status, that is a concern. So I don't know what Joe Burrow's long-term plans are. I hope he is still playing football. I think he's good for the league, but man, you'd be lying to yourself if you're going to try to convince anybody that that's not a concern. 3 major injuries already for Joe Burrow. I mean, he had the knee injury in his rookie year. A couple of years after that, he had the calf strain in training camp. And then that same year had the wrist injury. Now he's got this toe injury. Boy, that's not good. Julio, how I said your name right. If we lose this game, they should trade Mahomes. It's over. There's one theory. Hopefully that was sarcasm. Yeah, everyone's talking about the running game. Justin says front four needs to get pressure is the biggest key to the game. Yeah, I talked about this earlier in the week. The Chiefs' front four has not been good this year. You're paying a lot of money to Chris Jones. You're paying George Karlaftis a lot of money. They have not been able to get much pressure on quarterbacks this year. Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts, without a blitz, they've had a lot of time in the pocket. The Chiefs are getting to quarterbacks more often when they do send a blitz. And that's nice. Don't get me wrong. Not ideal either. I think it'd be preferred to get the front four guys, especially when you're paying a couple of those guys the big bucks, to get to the quarterback. So that's been kind of disappointing. The Giants' offensive line is not very good. So again, if there was ever a get right game for the defensive line, this would be it. I think the defensive line and the running backs, which are 2 position groups that have been off to bad starts, this is the time for them to step it up and play better. Kyle says, I just understand. I think you meant don't understand why we are so against getting a wide receiver. Has wide receiver honestly been an issue? Availability at wide receiver has. I mean, listen, the Chiefs went out there. They have Rashee Rice, who's going to come back. They drafted Xavier Worthy. They brought back Hollywood Brown. They drafted Jalen Royals. They brought in Tyquan Thornton, who's showing that he does have serious potential, especially in this offense. I mean, it has not been for a lack of effort here. The Chiefs have been trying their best with their wide receivers. I don't think skill, like in terms of who you have available, that's an issue. But in terms of the skill at that position, I don't think that's been the massive problem here. Pass blocking could use a little bit more improvement. I think the pass protection, and I've said this a couple of times this season, the pass protection looks better this year than last year through 2 games. I mean, I remember I'm watching a couple of games this year with the Chiefs, and I'm thinking Mahomes is holding on to the ball for too long. Why is no one getting open? And then a split second later, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He's got pass protection here. This is something he did not have last year. So I think the pass blocking has shown that it's getting better gradually. Still room to grow. Kingsley Suamata'i has got to get better. Josh Simmons, he's continuing to develop. We got a lot of hype from him. I think he's, a rookie, up and down so far. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yes, I will be at the Draw and Cherry Tailgate this weekend. That'll be a lot of fun. Was there last year? That was a hell of a time. I've never been to an auction in person before, so seeing that was actually a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. You'll be at the Chiefs game tonight. Well, have some fun, Joe. Rep Chiefs Kingdom out there in MetLife Stadium. I would imagine there aren't going to be that many Giants fans, right? I mean, the Giants are. I've seen all the comments this week about their defensive coordinator, people wanting him fired and whatnot. So, yeah, penalties gotta clean it up, especially with Jawan Taylor. No one's committed more penalties than him since he's joined the Chiefs in 2023. So, yeah, excuse me, that needs to be better for sure. I feel like our receivers don't get a lot of separation. Seems like our receivers have defenders all over them every play. I disagree, Kevin, to an extent. I mean, Mahomes has seen his open receivers in some games this year. He just has overthrown them quite a lot. We saw him overthrow Thornton a couple of times in week one, overthrew Thornton a couple of more times this past week. Still connected with Thornton once each game on a big play. And by the way, I have to rescind, for some reason I remembered it differently. I thought the Tyquan Thornton touchdown was a one-on-one play. It really wasn't. I mean, the defender wasn't too far away, but Thornton was still in position where he was kind of in a little bit of an island where the defender had no chance to be able to swat the football or break up the play. So we've seen receivers get separation. I think Mahomes has just got to be a little bit better with the ball placement. Kelsey's been doing a really good job this year getting separation. And I know when it comes to Kelsey, everyone's thinking about that ball going off of his hands for a pick. But Kelsey's been pretty good this year in terms of getting separation in one-on-one plays. So I'd like to see improved for sure from Mahomes' side with the accuracy. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys joining me for the pregame live chat. Come back at halftime. We will do our 10-minute halftime live stream. As soon as the first half is over, we will start the halftime live stream. And then after the game, it'll be late, but hey, we'll do it still. We'll be doing the Chiefs Zone podcast live after the game, taking your video calls. Call in after the game. I'll have the link. Just turn on your audio, your video, and we'll chat it up afterwards. I'm Farzin Vasugi. Appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the pregame live chat. I will talk to you all at halftime. Take care.